The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy. Hundreds of alien species, each more bizarre than the last, filled the room. Some floated in anti-gravity bubbles, others crawled on multiple legs, and a few even appeared as shimmering holograms. Despite their differences, they all shared one thing: a growing fear of the newly discovered planet called Earth. High Admiral Zix Terra, a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms, called the meeting to order. His voice boomed through the hall, instantly silencing the chatter. "Esteemed members of the Council, we face a grave threat," Zix Terra began. "Our scouts have discovered a planet in the outer reaches of the galaxy. Its inhabitants call it Earth." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Earth was a name that had been whispered in fear for months now. Zix Terra continued, "These humans are unlike anything we've encountered before. They are primitive, yes, but dangerous. We must decide how to handle them before they become a real threat to our galactic peace." The chief scientist, a small green creature with a massive head, floated forward. "If I may, Admiral," it said in a high-pitched voice, "our research shows that humans are terrible at war. They constantly fight among themselves over the pettiest things. Their weapons are crude, and their strategies are laughable by our standards." This statement caused a wave of relief to wash over the assembly. Many of the alien representatives visibly relaxed. A holographic being, representing the distant quantum collective, spoke next. Its voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "But what of their potential? We've seen species evolve rapidly when exposed to advanced technology." Zix Terra nodded gravely. "A valid concern. That's why we're here today. We must decide whether to contain this threat now or risk facing a more formidable enemy in the future." The debate raged on for hours. Some argued for immediate invasion, while others pushed for careful observation. The Galactic Council had never faced such a divisive issue before. As the arguments heated up, a small, often overlooked member of the Council stepped forward. Ambassador Lyra, from the peaceful world of Harmonious, raised her voice. "Friends, why do we assume the worst? Perhaps these humans could become valuable allies if approached correctly." Her words were met with scoffs and dismissive waves. "Have you seen their history?" A reptilian delegate hissed. "It's filled with war, genocide, and destruction. They're a plague waiting to spread across the stars." Lyra stood her ground. "But look closer. For every act of violence, there's an act of kindness. They create beautiful art, music, and literature. They dream of the stars. Isn't that worth something?" Her plea fell on deaf ears. The Council had already made up its mind. Admiral Zix Terra called for a vote. The results were overwhelming. With only a handful of dissenters, the Galactic Council voted to invade Earth. "It's settled then," Zix Terra announced. "We will launch a preemptive strike against Earth. Our advanced technology and superior tactics will make this a swift operation. The humans won't know what hit them." As the Council members filed out of the hall, making preparations for war, Ambassador Lyra lingered behind. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were making a terrible mistake. Something about these humans intrigued her, and she feared the Council's arrogance might lead to their downfall. Little did the Galactic Council know, their decision would set in motion a chain of events that would shake the very foundations of their civilization. They believed humans were terrible at war, but they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating their enemies. As the first invasion fleets prepared to depart, a sense of excitement and superiority filled the alien ranks. They were so certain of their victory that they failed to consider one crucial factor: the human spirit's incredible capacity for survival, adaptation, and unity in the face of overwhelming odds. The stage was set for a conflict that would determine the fate of Earth and potentially reshape the entire galaxy. The aliens thought they were dealing with a primitive, war-inept species. They had no idea what they were about to unleash. Life on Earth continued as usual, blissfully unaware of the looming alien threat. In New York City, people rushed through busy streets, focused on their daily lives. Coffee shops buzzed with chatter, and children laughed in parks. It was a typical day on a planet that had no idea it was about to change forever. At NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, Dr. Emily Rodriguez stared at her computer screen, her brow furrowed in confusion. For weeks now, she had been picking up strange signals from deep space. They were unlike anything she had ever seen before. "Hey, Mike," she called to her colleague. "Can you take a look at this?" Mike wandered over, coffee mug in hand. He leaned in, squinting at the screen. "Weird," he muttered. "What do you think it is?" Emily shook her head. "I'm not sure, but it's not natural. These patterns, they're too regular, too structured." As they discussed the possibilities, neither of them considered the most outlandish explanation: aliens. After all, the chances of detecting alien signals were astronomically low. Or so they thought. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., the president sat in the Oval Office, listening to a briefing about the economy. Suddenly, his aide burst in, face pale with urgency. "Mr. President," the aide gasped, "we've just received a report from NASA. They've detected something." The president's eyes narrowed. "Something. Can you be more specific?" The aide hesitated. "Sir, they believe it might be of extraterrestrial origin." For a moment, the room fell silent. Then the president laughed. "Aliens? Come on, John. April Fool's Day was last month." But the aide didn't laugh. "Sir, they're serious. Dr. Rodriguez at JPL has been tracking these signals for weeks. They want to brief you immediately." The president's smile faded. He dismissed his economic advisors and called for an emergency meeting with his top scientific and military advisors. As word spread through the highest levels of government, most officials reacted with skepticism. Aliens? It had to be a mistake, a malfunction in the equipment, or maybe a prank by some tech-savvy kids. General Laura Chen, a young and brilliant military strategist, sat quietly in the back of the briefing room as NASA scientists presented their findings. While others scoffed, she listened intently, her mind racing with possibilities and potential scenarios. After the meeting, as others filed out still arguing about the validity of the signals, General Chen approached Dr. Rodriguez. "Doctor," she said quietly, "I'd like to hear more about these signals. Can you tell me exactly what you've observed?" Dr. Rodriguez looked relieved to find someone taking her seriously. She explained the complex patterns, the regularity of the transmissions, and the sheer power needed to send signals across such vast distances. As Chen listened, a chill ran down her spine. Her military training kicked in, assessing threats and planning defenses. If these signals were real, if aliens were out there, Earth needed to be prepared. But how do you prepare for something you've only seen in movies? How do you convince world leaders to take action based on a threat they can't see or understand? General Chen knew she had an uphill battle ahead of her. She thanked Dr. Rodriguez and hurried out, her mind already formulating plans and strategies. As night fell across the Earth, billions of people went about their lives, unaware of the discussions happening in secret government facilities. They watched TV, played with their kids, and went to bed, oblivious to the fact that their world stood on the brink of an interstellar war. In her office at the Pentagon, General Chen worked late into the night. She pored over old war strategies, studied first contact scenarios from science fiction, and tried to imagine how to fight an enemy they knew nothing about. As she stared out her window at the twinkling stars, she couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was grossly unprepared for what was coming. But she also felt a spark of determination. If aliens were coming, she would make sure Earth put up one hell of a fight. Little did she know, her determination would soon be put to the ultimate test. The aliens were closer than anyone realized, and Earth's day of reckoning was fast approaching. The day Earth changed forever started like any other. People woke up, had breakfast, and went to work. But at 9:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, everything changed. In New York City, a woman screamed and pointed at the sky. Others looked up and gasped. A massive ship, larger than any building on Earth, hovered over the city. Its dark metal surface reflected the sunlight, making it shine like a second sun. Within minutes, similar reports came in from around the world. London, Tokyo, Moscow, Beijing, all had alien ships above them. The invasion had begun. At the White House, chaos erupted. The president, pale-faced and shaking, addressed the nation. "My fellow Americans and citizens of the world," he began, his voice trembling. "We are not alone in the universe, and it seems we are under attack." As he spoke, the alien ships made their first move. Beams of intense light shot down from the ships, destroying major military bases around the world. The humans' most powerful weapons were wiped out in seconds. General Laura Chen watched in horror as reports flooded in. Everything she had feared was coming true, but even she hadn't imagined it would be this bad. The aliens' technology was far beyond anything Earth had. "Get me the president," she shouted to her aide. "We need to coordinate a global response now." But coordination proved difficult. Many world leaders were in panic mode. Some wanted to surrender immediately, hoping to avoid total destruction. Others called for a full-scale nuclear response, not caring that it might destroy the planet in the process. Amidst the chaos, strange things began to happen. In India, a farmer reported that his cows were floating in the air. In Brazil, the Amazon River started flowing backwards. It seemed the aliens weren't just attacking, they were changing the very laws of physics on Earth. As the first day of the invasion wore on, Earth's military forces tried to fight back. Fighter jets took to the skies, only to be swatted down like flies. Tanks fired their most powerful shells, which bounced harmlessly off the alien ships. By nightfall, a grim reality had set in. Earth was losing, and losing badly. In her Pentagon office, General Chen worked tirelessly. She coordinated with what remained of the world's military forces, trying to find any weakness in the alien attack. But it seemed hopeless. Just when all seemed lost, Chen received a strange message. It came from Dr. Emily Rodriguez, the NASA scientist who had first detected the alien signals. "General," the message read, "I've analyzed the alien tech. There's something odd about it. Meet me at JPL ASAP. Might have found a way to fight back." Chen didn't waste a second. She hopped on a military helicopter and flew straight to California, dodging alien patrols along the way. At JPL, she found Rodriguez in a state of excited frenzy. "Look at this," the scientist said, pointing to a complex diagram on her computer. Chen looked, but couldn't make sense of it. "What am I seeing, Doctor?" "It's the alien technology," Rodriguez explained. "It's advanced, yes, but it's also predictable. There's a pattern to it. And where there's a pattern, there's a way to break it." Chen finished, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. For the first time since the invasion began, Chen felt a spark of optimism. Humans might be outgunned and outmatched, but they had something the aliens didn't expect: creativity and the ability to think outside the box. As they worked through the night, Chen and Rodriguez began to form a plan. It was risky, almost crazy, but in a world turned upside down by alien invaders, crazy might be exactly what they needed. Little did the aliens know, their greatest challenge was just beginning. The humans they had dismissed as weak were about to show just how dangerous they could be when pushed into a corner. The battle for Earth was far from over. In fact, it was just getting started. General Laura Chen stared at the wall of screens in the emergency war room. Each one showed a different city under alien attack. It was a grim sight, but Chen refused to give up hope. "We need to think differently," she said to the room full of military leaders and scientists. "The aliens expect us to fight like we always have, but that's not working. We need to surprise them." Dr. Emily Rodriguez nodded in agreement. "I've been studying our history," she said, "not just our wars, but how humans have faced all kinds of challenges. I think I found something." She pulled up a series of images on the main screen. They showed scenes from throughout human history, ancient battles, scientific discoveries, great works of art and engineering. "Look at these," Rodriguez said. "In every case, when humans faced a big problem, we didn't just use brute force. We got creative. We adapted. We used our environment and our unique abilities in ways no one expected." Chen's eyes lit up. "You're right," she said. "We're not just soldiers. We're problem solvers. Innovators. That's our real strength." With renewed energy, Chen and Rodriguez began to form a plan. They called it Operation Hidden Strength. The first step was to gather information. Chen sent out a call to hackers around the world. Their mission: to find a way into the alien computer systems. Meanwhile, Rodriguez worked with climate scientists. They studied how Earth's different environments might affect the aliens. Could the heat of the desert or the cold of the Arctic be used against them? Chen also reached out to Hollywood special effects artists and stage magicians. "We need to create illusions," she told them. "Make the aliens see things that aren't really there." As the plan came together, Chen faced her toughest challenge yet. She had to convince world leaders to try this unconventional approach. In a tense video conference, Chen laid out the plan to presidents, prime ministers, and kings. Many were skeptical. "This sounds like a fantasy," the Russian president scoffed. "We should stick to traditional warfare." But Chen stood her ground. "Traditional warfare is failing," she said firmly. "We need to use our uniquely human abilities, our creativity, our adaptability, our ability to work together despite our differences. That's what the aliens don't expect." Slowly, the leaders began to agree. They saw the wisdom in Chen's words. Humanity would fight back, not as separate countries, but as one united species. The next day, Operation Hidden Strength began. Hackers from around the world launched a coordinated attack on the alien systems. They didn't try to shut them down completely. Instead, they made small, subtle changes. Alien ships would find themselves slightly off course. Communication between ships became garbled and confusing. In the Sahara Desert, scientists activated huge hidden mirrors, reflecting intense sunlight at alien ships. In Siberia, they used the extreme cold to freeze and crack alien equipment. Hollywood artists created massive holographic projections, making it look like Earth had a much larger defense force than it really did. Stage magicians used their skills to hide real military movements behind elaborate illusions. All around the world, humans used their unique skills and knowledge to fight back. Chefs used their understanding of chemistry to create smoke screens. Parkour athletes taught soldiers how to move quickly through urban environments. Even children got involved, their wild imaginations helping to come up with unexpected strategies. For the first time since the invasion began, the aliens seemed unsure. Their careful plans were falling apart in the face of human unpredictability and creativity. In the war room, Chen allowed herself a small smile. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, she felt real hope. Humanity had found its hidden strength, and they were ready to use it. As reports of small victories began to come in from around the world, Chen realized something important. The aliens had been right about one thing. Humans were terrible at war, at least the kind of war the aliens expected. But they were about to learn that humans were excellent at something much more powerful: survival. The alien commander, Zexterra, stared at the holographic display of Earth with growing frustration. What should have been a quick and easy conquest had turned into a confusing mess. "Report," he barked at his second-in-command. The subordinate alien looked nervous. "Sir, we're facing unexpected difficulties. The humans are using strange tactics we've never seen before." Zexterra's four eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Well, sir," the subordinate began, "in the region they call Vietnam, our troops are getting lost in underground tunnels. The humans pop up, attack, and disappear like ghosts." This was not what Zexterra had expected. The reports had said humans were predictable, easy to defeat. But these guerrilla tactics were causing chaos among his forces. Meanwhile, On Earth, General Chen was in her mobile command center, coordinating the global resistance. Reports were coming in from around the world, each one bringing a glimmer of hope. "General," a young soldier called out, "Update from New York City. The street artists and graffiti crews have completed their mission." Chen smiled. The artists had painted the city with special paint that confused alien sensors. To the invaders, the entire city now looked like one giant, incomprehensible artwork. In Silicon Valley, a team of hackers led by a teenage prodigy had finally broken into the alien communication network. They weren't trying to shut it down. Instead, they were filling it with human culture, memes, cat videos, and confusing slang. "Yo, alien dude, why you so sus?" One message read, leaving the extraterrestrial recipients completely baffled. The hackers were also using the alien network to gather crucial intelligence. They discovered that the invaders were vulnerable to certain Earth bacteria. Immediately, Shen ordered teams of microbiologists to weaponize probiotic yogurt. In the Amazon rainforest, indigenous tribes were teaching Earth's special forces how to move silently through dense vegetation. The aliens used to open warfare were helpless against these stealthy tactics. Elsewhere, other unique human skills were turning the tide. In Japan, origami experts were creating intricate decoys that fooled alien scanners. In Australia, wildlife experts were using their knowledge of dangerous animals to create no-go zones for the invaders. Even children were contributing to the war effort. Their wild imaginations led to the creation of bizarre traps and distractions that the logical alien minds couldn't comprehend. Back in space, Dix Terra was becoming increasingly agitated. "How is this possible?" he roared. "They're primitives. Their technology is centuries behind ours." His subordinate trembled. "Sir, it's not about technology. The humans, they're using their planet against us. Every environment, every creature, every aspect of their culture has become a weapon." Just then, alarms blared across the alien fleet. Strange objects were approaching. Thousands of them. "What are those?" Zex Terra demanded. The subordinate checked the scanners, then did a double take. "Sir, they appear to be paper airplanes." Indeed, a massive swarm of paper airplanes, created by millions of school children and launched into the upper atmosphere by weather balloons, was now surrounding the alien ships. Each plane carried a payload of the weaponized probiotic yogurt. As the paper planes pelted the ships, spreading their bacterial cargo, chaos erupted among the alien crews. Their immune systems, unused to Earth bacteria, went into overdrive. On Earth, Chen received the news with a mix of amusement and pride. "Who could have thought?" she mused. "The fate of our world might just rest on paper planes and yogurt." The tide of the war was turning. Humanity's hidden strength, its diversity, creativity, and adaptability, was proving more than a match for the aliens' advanced technology. As reports of alien retreats began to pour in, Chen allowed herself a moment of hope. They weren't out of danger yet, but for the first time since the invasion began, victory seemed possible. In his command ship, Zix Terra was coming to a shocking realization. The humans weren't terrible at war after all. They were masters of the unexpected, turning everything, even the most mundane aspects of their world, into powerful weapons. The real battle was just beginning, and Earth was ready. The time had come. After weeks of clever tactics and unconventional warfare, humanity was ready for its final push against the alien invaders. General Laura Chen stood in the Global Command Center, surrounded by screens showing military leaders from around the world. "This is it," Chen said, her voice firm. "Today, we take back our planet." The plan was daring, perhaps even crazy. But then again, crazy had worked well for humanity so far in this war. As the sun rose, the operation began. In low Earth orbit, a fleet of hastily assembled spacecraft launched. These weren't military vessels, but a mishmash of repurposed satellites, space station modules, and even some billionaire's prototype Mars rocket. Leading this odd fleet was Chen herself, along with a team of astronauts, pilots, and, surprisingly, a group of video game champions. "I still can't believe I'm here," muttered Jin, a 19-year-old esports star, as he strapped into his seat. Chen smiled at him. "Your reflexes and strategic thinking might just save us all, kid." As they approached the alien mothership, chaos erupted. The aliens, caught off guard by the humans' audacity, scrambled to respond. "Now," Chen ordered. At her command, the Earth's surface lit up. Massive mirrors, hastily constructed in deserts around the world, reflected sunlight into space, blinding the alien sensors. In that moment of confusion, Chen's fleet struck. The gamer team, led by Jin, took control of the smaller craft, their countless hours of playing space combat games paying off in spectacular fashion. They darted between the massive alien ships, too small and quick to be caught, causing havoc wherever they went. Meanwhile, on the ground, the battle raged on. In New York, Parker athletes led squads through the city, outmaneuvering the alien ground forces with their incredible agility. In Tokyo, A9 fans wearing homemade mecha suits, powered by repurposed alien tech, engaged the invaders in close-quarters combat. In Rio de Janeiro, a team of samba dancers confused alien motion sensors with their rhythmic movements, allowing special forces to slip past undetected. Back in space, Chen's ship had reached the alien mothership. "All right, Dr. Rodriguez," Chen said into her comm, "it's your turn." On Earth, Emily Rodriguez took a deep breath. She sat in front of a complex array of computers, the result of human and reverse-engineered alien technology. "Here goes nothing," she muttered, and pressed the button. Instantly, every screen, speaker, and holographic projector on the alien ships came to life. But instead of tactical data or sensor readings, they displayed something else entirely, a live stream of a cat playing piano. "What is this?" Zextara bellowed, his 4 eyes wide with confusion. But it wasn't just any cat video. Hidden within the data stream was a complex computer virus, designed by Rodriguez and her team. As the aliens stared in bewilderment at the feline pianist, their systems were being overwritten. In the confusion, Chen and her team boarded the mothership. They fought their way through the corridors, their movements unpredictable and chaotic in a way the aliens couldn't comprehend. Finally, they reached the bridge. Chen burst in, face to face with Zextara at last. "Surrender," Chen demanded, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Zextara looked at her in disbelief. "How?" he asked. "You were supposed to be easy to defeat, terrible at war." Chen allowed herself a small smile. "We are terrible at war," she said. "At least, the kind of war you expected. But we're excellent at adaptation, creativity, and thinking outside the box. That's what makes us human." As if to punctuate her words, Jin's voice came over the comm. General, we just took out their entire fleet's propulsion systems, with a PowerPoint presentation about the history of memes. Don't ask me how. I don't really understand it either." Chen couldn't help but laugh. She turned back to Zextara. "So about that surrender." The alien commander looked at his defunct systems, at the human standing confidently before him, and at the cat still playing piano on his main screen. He realized that he and the entire Galactic Council had made a grave error in judgment. Slowly, Zextara raised his 4 arms in surrender. The final battle was over. Against all odds, humanity had won. As news of the victory spread across Earth, celebrations erupted worldwide. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious, not through brute force, but through the very traits that made them unique in the universe. They were terrible at war, indeed, but as the galaxy was about to learn, they were exceptional at peace. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with nervous energy once again. But this time, it wasn't fear that filled the air. It was a mixture of shock, curiosity, and a grudging admiration. At the center of the hall stood a small delegation from Earth, General Laura Chen, Dr. Emily Rodriguez, and surprisingly, Jin, the young gamer who had played a crucial role in the final battle. They faced the assembled representatives of thousands of alien species, all eager to understand how this primitive planet had defeated their most advanced invasion force. High Admiral Zixtera, now a prisoner of war, was brought forward to give his report. His once proud posture was now slumped in defeat. "Esteemed members of the Council," he began, his voice heavy, "we have made a grave error in our assessment of Earth and its inhabitants." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Zixtera continued, "We believed humans to be terrible at war, easy to conquer. We were wrong. They are terrible at war, our kind of war, but they are masters of adaptation, creativity, and unpredictability." As Zixtera recounted the events of the invasion, the council members listened in growing astonishment. They heard tales of battles won with memes and cat videos, of military strategies inspired by video games, and of everyday objects turned into powerful weapons. When Zixtera finished, the council leader, a wise, ancient being named Exile, turned to the human delegation. "Humans," Exile said, his voice echoing through the hall, "you have surprised us all. We owe you an apology, and much more. Please, tell us what you wish from the galactic community." General Chen stepped forward. The eyes of the galaxy were upon her, but she stood tall and confident. "What we wish for," she said, her voice clear and strong, "is peace." A shocked silence fell over the hall. The aliens had expected demands for advanced technology, or maybe even revenge. But peace, after what they had done to Earth. Chen continued, "We fought because we had to. But war is not our goal. We want to join your community, to learn from you, and to share what we know." Dr. Rodriguez spoke next. "Our strength lies not in weapons, but in our diversity, our creativity, and our ability to work together despite our differences. We believe these qualities can benefit not just Earth, but the entire galaxy." Jin, looking a bit nervous but excited, added, "Yeah, and we got some pretty cool games we could share too." This last comment broke the tension in the room. Surprisingly, several alien representatives chuckled. They were beginning to see the charm in human unpredictability. Thiel considered for a moment, then made a declaration that would change the course of galactic history. "The Council accepts Earth's proposal. Humanity will be granted full membership in the galactic community, effective immediately." The hall erupted in a mixture of cheers, excited chatter, and some confused alien noises, as the human delegation was swarmed by curious aliens eager to learn more about Earth. Chen couldn't help but smile. They had not only saved their planet, but had opened up a whole new universe of possibilities. In the weeks that followed, Earth became a hub of intergalactic cultural exchange. Alien tourists flocked to experience human music, art, and cuisine. Earth's universities were flooded with alien students eager to study human history and psychology. Meanwhile, human innovations began to spread throughout the galaxy. Alien military strategists studied human warfare tactics, not to use them in war, but to learn how to think more creatively. Alien entertainment industries were revolutionized by human storytelling techniques. But perhaps the most profound change was in how the galaxy approached problem-solving. The human tendency to think outside the box, to find unconventional solutions to complex problems, began to influence fields from science to politics. As Chen watched all of this unfold from her new office in the Galactic Embassy on Earth, she reflected on the strange journey that had brought them here. They had been invaded, pushed to the brink of extinction, and emerged not just victorious, but as valued members of a vast galactic community. "We really are terrible at war," she mused to herself, "but maybe that's exactly what the galaxy needed." And so, the species that had been dismissed as primitive became the catalyst for a new era of peace, creativity, and progress in the galaxy. The humans who were terrible at war had, in the end, conquered the stars not with weapons, but with the very qualities that made them uniquely human.